Hello class, welcome to the shorter version of Lab 1 for those who don't need a lot of explanation for doing things. So let's go straight to the page for our course, CIS106.com, where we're going to find the instructions for Lab 1. I apologize ahead of time for the speed of this computer. This is a virtual machine, so things are not going to be as fast as they will be in your computer. So CIS106.com, Lab 1, and let's go ahead with question 1. Install VS Code. Now click over here, download the installer, and then just go through the wizard, and once the installation is done, make sure that you open VS Code. This is how VS Code looks like. Okay, so just a text editor. I have installed a different theme than the one that comes installed with your VS Code. So to install extensions, just click on the gears icon over here, click on extension, and here you're going to look for the name of the extension that you're going to install, and then you're going to click on install. For example, let me just look for one extension here. Let's say I want this extension over here. All I have to do is click on install, and that's it. By default, when you open the extension window, it's going to tell you the extensions that you have installed. These are all the extensions that I have installed in my VS Code. These are all the extensions that you need to install. Like I said at the beginning, this is a different theme. It's called Dracula Official than the one that VS Code comes with. You're welcome to install this one if you like the way it looks. Now, with that said, let's go and see what's next. Once you have done question number 1, make sure that you sign up for your GitHub account. I have already signed up for mine. Signing up for GitHub is very straightforward. Then you need to create as a repository. Mine is called CIS106. To create a repo, just click on new, provide the name, a little bit of a description, make sure it's public, and then just click on create repository. That's all you have to do. I'm just gonna close this because I already did this to save time during the video. Then once you have created your GitHub account, make sure you use your PCCC email address and leave the page open, save the password somewhere because we're gonna use it a lot. We are going to move along to question number 2. You're going to download this file, right? It's a compressed file. So I'm just going to click on open link. Just going to open it in a private window because I was having issues earlier catching the wrong version of the file. Here, make sure that you open the compressed file. All of these files, you're going to put them in a folder here. I'm going to call this folder Lab 1. Copy the files and put them inside Lab 1. Click on paste. And once you have the files over here, you're going to open that folder in VS Code. So we're going to click on open folder. You can also get to this dialog by clicking on file and open folder. So once we open folder, we go to downloads, we click once in Lab 1, and then we click on select folder. And the folder is going to appear right over here inside the file manager for VS Code, right? Now let's move along to question number 3, and what we're going to do is we are going to learn Markdown, and we're going to use a document that I gave you over here as a template for you to practice the stuff that are going to be on the presentation. So I'm going to go over the presentation and then we're going to do some formatting. So what is Markdown? Markdown is a markup language. It is a standard for writing documents, just like HTML and XML is for writing other type of documents. Markdown is very simple, straightforward, with quick formatting. Since it is a standard, there are different implementations. Here we're going to be learning GFM or GitHub Flavor Markdown. Now, what do we use Markdown for? Simple, for creating plain text documents that are extensible, that can then be converted to other formats with ease, right? We use Markdown in my class because I need everybody to be using the exact same thing to making the class as simple and straightforward as possible. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at in Markdown is how do we use heading. Heading are those big letters and titles on top of every section in a document, right? So normally a document has a title, then a section has a title, then subtitles, and so on and so on and so on. If you open the default file that we have over here, you're going to notice that we have a main title here, which is going to be an H1 or a heading 1. And then you have also, another heading for a specific section, then another subheading in that specific section for the table, and so on and so on and so on. Now, how to do this? You put a pound sign at the beginning of your document. That's it. Let's practice. So in VS Code, I'm gonna open this file called whatisubuntu.md. Right over here, I'm gonna click on the create a file, and I'm gonna create one called what is Ubuntu submission.md. Make sure that .md extension is enabled, and if you don't have file extensions enabled in your computer, go enable them. Go to a file manager, click on view, and click on file name extensions. If this is checked, you're good to go. Now that we have created the document, I'm gonna copy the entire text in this window over here. Copy, Control A, Control C for those who likes the keyboard shortcuts, and then Control V or right click paste to paste the document over here. Now what I want to do is that I want to open this document side by side. I just grab it and drag it on the side, and now I have the PDF file on one side and my Markdown file on another. So let's format each and every one of the headings. So we know that this is the title, so this is going to be $1 for heading 1. Then what is the Ubuntu release cycle? Right over here is going to be a subheading. So this is heading number 2. And this is going to be a section within Ubuntu release cycle. So this is going to be heading number 3. Then this is going to be a new section in my document. So this is heading 2. Then we have over here how to update Ubuntu. This is also a new section. So this is heading number 2 as well. Let's save our document, and now let's do a preview of our file. So if you right click and you click on Markdown Preview Enhance, you're gonna see how our headings have been beautifully formatted, and now the document is starting to take shape. We're gonna close this here, and we're gonna move along with the next part. Paragraph. Well, paragraphs are simple. They require no formatting. Just type. That's it. Just pop, 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 pop. Just type, and you're good to go. Now, formatting within a paragraph, like bold, italics, strike through, that is done with a bit of formatting. Now, for bold, we use 2 asterisks or 2 star signs. For italics, we use a single one. And for strike through, we use a tilde character. Let's see it in practice. So we know that the word Ubuntu here is bold. So all we have to do is put 2 stars at the beginning, 2 stars in the end, no spaces. Now let's take a look at this. Free and open source softwares for italics. So I'm just gonna minimize this, and we have here free and open source software. We put 1 at the beginning, no space, 1 in the end, no space, and beautiful, done. Now if we want to combine the 2 of them, it's quite simple. Just use 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Now notice that if I do a preview here, voila. Okie dokie. Now we have this one over here that's left. So we have Ubuntu's 3 and 1, 2, 3. Done. Let's save our document. You can save your document with the shortcut Control and letter S in the keyboard, or by pressing File and Save. Okie dokie. That's how you do paragraphs, and that's how you format words within a paragraph. Now, lists. They are very simple. Just type 1 period space and then start typing, and it will create an order list. In our document, we have an example of an order list over here. So, as you can see, let me get rid of this. Okay, so if I want to format this, 1 period space, notice how the numbers start appearing right away, right? We can also do indented lists. Like, let me do an example over here, right? Let's say I'm making a list of pets. So I'm going to call this pets. And here I'm going to tap and I'm going to say dog, cat, parrot. And then I'm also going to make a list of foods. Foods. Enter. Notice how a number 3 drops automatically. Tab key to create an indented list. Fast food. Healthy food. And let's also do countries. Why not? Countries. USA, Canada, DR, Russia, and so on. See how easy it is to create lists. That's straightforward. Now for unordered list, right? Those that start with a bullet at the beginning, we use one of these 3 symbols. We can either use the star, minus, or plus, however we like. For example, pets, foods, countries, right? We can also indent them. For example, pets, tab, dogs, cats, parrots. You know, we can also use other symbols. For example, foods, fast foods, healthy foods. Same thing with the minus sign. Countries, USA, Canada. Now let's do a preview to see how our document looks like. And you see, bulleted lists. It doesn't matter what symbol you use, it will always use a round bullet list. So I like stars, but if you like plus signs, you can use plus signs. Now I'm going to remove this, and we're going to format this part over here of our document. So we have LibreOffice, so we have star, enter, delete, enter, tab. Same thing over here, star, space, delete, enter, tab. Save your document. Notice how we've done. We have successfully inserted our bulleted list and an ordered list inside our document. And that's it. That's how they are done. Now, here are more examples of lists that you can practice with if you like. Now, block quotes. Block quotes are used for calling the attention of the reader. It's a big quote right in the middle of your document. To use them, we use the greater than sign. That's it. How do we do this? Simple. Greater than sign at the very beginning, a space, and you're done. For example, our document over here has a block quote. So cross distribution is right over here. So let's delete some of this space. I want to make this a block quote, greater than sign, space, and that's it. Now let's put this in a single line for the sake of keeping our document nice. And that's it. If I move back to my preview, notice how it's formatted as a block quote with no issues whatsoever. And we can add more code blocks over here. For example, hey, I am a block quote. Look at me. We can also indent them. See? I am an indented block quote. See? Simple as that. I'm going to close this because we don't need it anymore. Code blocks. They are very useful for highlighting code in your documentation, in your document. You can see it everywhere when you look at tutorial online. The codes, the commands, they all look very different. They have a different font, right? How do we do that? Very, very simple. If you want to make it a single block, then you use the backtick character. You surround all the text in backticks and it looks like code. If you want to do it inline, you use a single backtick within the line. Now let's see how that looks like. Now we want to make this look like code. So at the beginning, I'm going to put 3 quotes, 3 backticks. See how the font looks different. It is pretty obvious to whoever that's reading this document that this is code. Now inline is equally easy. For instance, let me put all of this in a single space, just make it easy to read. 1 backtick. Another one at the end of the command. Notice that I'm not leaving any space. It's just backtick, and there you go, right there, the text. Same thing over here, single backtick. Sorry. Single backtick. Notice how it now is this is highlighted in a way that the reader knows, oh, this is a command. Well, the font is different, the background color is different, this is definitely a command. And that's how you do code block inside Markdown. Let's go back over here. Now, code block formatting is a GFM feature. We're going to explore that later on. So just keep that in your mind for now. Links. How do we do links? Now, links are not difficult, but you got to remember a formula. The text that will redirect the user goes in brackets. The URL where the user is going to be redirected to goes in parentheses. No spaces here. For example, Google, https://google.com is a search engine. This code over here is going to look like this. So let's do it right here at the bottom, just for the sake of simplicity. In quotes, sorry, in brackets, I put the text, Google. And then over here, I put the URL, https google.com. And then I continue typing and say, is a search engine. Notice that Google became a hyperlink that opens Google right away as soon as the user clicks on it. Now we have a couple of hyperlinks over here in our document, so let's do the formatting. So we have this that sends us to ubuntu.com. As you can see, I'm just going to copy this URL. And right over here, we surround the word with square brackets and then put the URL in between. 22.04 is going to take us to the download page. So I'm going to highlight the link again one more time. And then over here, I'm simply going to surround the text with square brackets and in parentheses put the URL that I want to redirect the users to. That's it. As simple as that. Now, images are very similar to links. The only difference is they start with an exclamation mark. Exclamation mark, description of the image in brackets, and then in parentheses the URL where the image lives on the internet or in your computer. Now, let's take a look. Our text has two images, this one and one in the button. So let's go to Ubuntu features, and over here I always like to leave one space on the top and one space in the bottom, just to keep my formatting simple. Here is my formula. This is the description, Ubuntu desktop. And since the image is located right here in the same folder as my file is located, all I have to do is type the name of the image here. So Ubuntu desktop.png. Press enter, and now if you go to the preview, notice that the image has been inserted successfully. If you made a mistake typing the name, notice that you get a broken link or a broken image link icon over here, letting you know your image cannot be found, you typed it wrong, or just the address that you put in there contains no image. You can do the same thing with URLs, like the formula does not change. For instance, let's put another picture here. I'm gonna call this picture cat. And I'm gonna look for a picture of a cat on the internet. So I'm gonna say cat, enter, images. I'm just gonna copy this one, copy image link. Let me make sure this is a proper link. And yeah, it's a proper link to an image. Go over here, paste the link over here, automatically pull from the internet and insert it into my document. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Now, I know this formula is a little bit difficult to remember, but just make a note of it or stick to the end of the video where I give you a cheat sheet. Let's remove this because it's not part of the document and it's not on the instructions that I gave you. So let's go over here. Finally, let's work with tables. Like, tables are a bit tricky. So you gotta remember this formula. They're a bit tricky, but if you practice, I guarantee you, you'll do good. Now, look at this. That's the formula. That converts into that. We have a table that we need to format in our document. Now, we know that if you look at this closely, this looks like a column, this looks like a column. This part over here is always required. This is the separator. You gotta put it in there. Now, let's look at our document here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, right? So this is what we have over here. We need to format this so it looks like a table. So we're gonna go over here. I'm gonna stay right over here and we're gonna do it live. So I'm gonna start with the first one. So I know this is version, that's the first column. We got the first one, code name is the second one, release date is the third one, and we're gonna continue on until we're done. Finally, we have to end our line. Now, it still looks ugly, but it's gonna take form, trust me. Now over here, we're gonna put in the required formatting that's gonna make this work as a table. Now, what we can do is right click and click on format document so that these spaces are aligned correctly. Again, right click, format document. Now we're gonna work with the data. Now we know that each and every one of these rows start with a pipe. So we're just gonna get ahead of the game and put a pipe in there. Notice how all the data now fits in one column because it thinks that it only has one column, but that's not true. We're gonna create the other ones. So we have version 14.04.lts. That's where it ends. So we're gonna do space, the pipe, space, space, pipe, space, space, pipe, space. See, now we got the first column. Good. Now we're gonna continue with the second column, which is the code name, Trusty Tar. It ends right over here, Trusty Tar, right at the beginning of the year. So we're gonna do the same thing, space, pipe, space. Okay, let's save our file, and we're doing good. We're doing good. Now let's do a little formatting over here. There you go. We're a little. Let me just get rid of this because I want everything in a single line. So let me format one more time. Okay, this. Zoom out a little. There you go. That's perfectly fine. By the way, if you want to zoom in and out in your document, just press Ctrl plus or minus sign in your keyboard. Right? So zoom in, zoom out. Okay, let's save. Let's continue. Now we have 2014-04-17, and right over here is the end of the first day. So we're going to insert a pipe right there. So space, pipe, space. Space, pipe, space. 26, space, pipe, space. There you go. There you go. Let's save our document. Now let's do the end of support. So this one is only a year and a month. So 2019-04, right over here is where it ends. So space, here, space. Done. Then let's click on save. Let's see what we're missing. End of support, security support. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's do a format here, format document, and it will automatically make our table look nice and pretty. Now look at the table, look at the data over here. Now I know the formula is a little difficult to remember, but it's fine. We have a cheat sheet in the end of the video that you can keep. No, it's a little bit difficult to remember, but once you build a couple of tables, you'll get the hang of it. Let's go back over here. Finally, this is something specific to GitHub Markdown. You can create checkboxes. You know, here, we're not going to be using this. It's just good to know, have it in the back of your mind that this works. This is code-specific highlighting. This is how it looks. This is how the code looks like. This is how it ends up looking like. You know, again, something that we're not going to use. It's just good to know that it exists. And finally, here is a cheat sheet. Download this, save this, however you want to do it. Take a picture, however you care. Save it. You will need it. You will use Markdown the entire semester, so you will need this. Try not to memorize. Try simply to understand. And if you forget, go back to your cheat sheet for a quick reminder. Okay, let's go back over here. We're done with the presentation. Let's look at our document. Our document looks perfect. You have successfully practiced Markdown. I suggest you practice a little more. But wait, talking about practicing a little more, this is where it gets good. You have a challenge question. Now, before we move on, let's learn how to convert these files. Now, because you installed the necessary extensions, when you right-click over here, you're going to notice all of these options here. Now, we need a PDF version, so click on Markdown PDF. The first time you do this, it takes a little bit, so be patient. When you open your file manager on the side, you're going to notice that you have a new PDF file. Just give it a second, it's converting. There you go, called what is Ubuntu submission.pdf. Notice that it looks exactly like the document that I gave you. Make sure you get rid of this over here. We don't need that. Okay, now convert this to HTML. Right click, convert to HTML. And you have successfully converted this plain Markdown document into a HTML website. So you go over here, open live server. It's gonna open this in a website, in a web browser that shows you how this HTML code looks like. If you already know a little bit of web development, you found gold. Okay, now let's remove this from here. So we keep this up, and now let's go to the challenge question. What are you gonna do? Now, to prove that you learned Markdown, now, or to prove it to yourself, you're gonna create a resume. I have given you a fake person, a fake friend. Let's read. Your friend John Doe has asked you to make a one-page resume for him. He has given you all his information in a text file and a picture for you to use. Since you have recently learned about Markdown, you want to write this resume in Markdown and give him the PDF file. Using Markdown, create a one-page resume for John Doe. In the compressed file that you downloaded, you will find an image, resume.png, that has the result of how the document should look like after it has been converted to PDF. Once you have written the Markdown file, convert the file to PDF and HTML. So let's open the file manager over here, go to Lab 1, and here is how the resume should look like. Once you do the conversion, it should look like this. Okay, here is your picture that you're gonna use. Here is Joe's information. Everything you need to know about Joe is right here. And that's about it. Now, once you have converted the file to HTML, and once you have converted it to PDF, you are going to move to the submission part of this assignment. You're gonna log into Blackboard. You're gonna go to Lab 1 submission. You're gonna give me the Markdown file for your What is Ubuntu submission.md file, and also the PDF of that same document, right? You're also gonna give me your resume. You're also gonna give me the resume that you built, Markdown and PDF file, and that's it. Do not give me HTML. I don't need the HTML files. You are also going to give me the GitHub repository, the URL to your GitHub repository. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna go to github.com, open your repository, right? And then click on Add to File, Upload Files. Then you're gonna click on Choose Your Files, and then upload everything in the folder. Before you do this part, make sure that you save your document. Every year I have students who don't save the work and give me an empty file and they are expecting a grade. Save your work, then submit. Save, then submit. Okay, once you have uploaded your stuff to GitHub, just cancel that. You're gonna click on Commit Changes. I'm gonna click on Cancel because I already did all of this. Let's see if I can... No, that's fine. Once you have uploaded this, you're gonna give me this URL over there. So the URL to your repo, because I need to go there and see that you find the files over there. If the files are not there, I will take points off. Now, if you give me this assignment late, I will take 30 points off. I don't care if it's 1 minute late or 5 days late or the day before the semester ends. You'll lose 30 points. That's for every assignment that I'm gonna give you. Anything that is late, 30 points off automatically. So do your work on time. If you have any questions, send me a message in Slack. If you email me, expect delays. If you Slack me, I guarantee you that within the first 10-15 minutes, I'll get back to you. With that said, I'll see you in the next video or in class.